What's the fastest way a couple got a divorce? And what caused it? Story 1. I went to a wedding where the bride got drunk and the groom picked up her phone and saw that she was sending inappropriate messages to a coworker during the entire wedding. He told the official not to file the paperwork. Great reception though. Edit. This occurred at the end of the reception, as they were leaving to go to the honeymoon suite. The story is she was very drunk and her phone kept getting notifications, so he picked it up. They did not go on their honeymoon and they returned the gifts to everyone. The guests weren't told about what happened for a couple of weeks as the bride was trying to save the relationship. I was also not privy to the legality of the nuptials, not being submitted to the city clerk, so I can't help on that front. Opinion: he really saved himself a ton of money on the divorce. Since it never got filed, the marriage technically never happened. Story 2. My cousin and her first husband got divorced after about a month, because one of them lived in Houston and the other in Dallas, and they never really agreed on how they were going to deal with that. I'm sure there were other things too, but that was the official story. Opinion: that seems like one of those things that should be figured out before getting married. Story 3. Years and years ago, my uncle's girlfriend planned a wedding and invited everyone and didn't tell him until the week of. I don't know the whole story about why she did it, but he went through with it and quietly got it annulled and broke up with her. Opinion: I mean, what could possibly go wrong by surprising someone into marrying you with deception and manipulation at the last minute? Story 4. A relative of mine had a marriage that lasted less than 3 weeks. They had been together for a couple of years and even went to premarital counseling at their church for a few months to get ready. Their wedding was super lavish and it was clear a lot of prep and money went into it. At their wedding, they announced they were expecting their first child. Everything seemed great. Unfortunately, the whole thing went wrong when the wife discovered he had been cheating on her for almost their entire relationship with multiple women. She found this out when in a foreign country on their honeymoon, 4 months pregnant. I know from her mom that she had complications in her pregnancy that they attributed to the stress of all this. Opinion: that must have been so crushing. Multiple women? Who proposes to someone while having other people on the side? Story 5. My neighbor got married at 19 and divorced when she was 20. Her parents got divorced while she was dating the guy, and she moved in with him a couple of months into the relationship. Together less than a year before they got married. A super young couple together for such a short time almost never works out. She didn't learn her lesson though, because she got engaged to someone else barely a year later. They called it off and broke up before getting married though. Sadly, that's the happy story of the family because her younger sister got pregnant at 16 to a guy in his 30s, and then a couple of years later got pregnant by him again and married him. He is currently in prison for doing the deed with a 13-year-old. Happened while they were together, but they're still married with 2 children, and she defends him on Facebook all the time. Opinion: she defends him on Facebook. That's why I don't try to help anyone who didn't ask for help. Story 6. The girl I went to high school with has 4 kids from her first marriage. They divorced when they were in their early 40s. She decides she wants to get married again. She wants a religious family man and is convinced Nigeria is the route to go. She starts chatting up Nigerian guys on Facebook, goes over there, and marries a guy she just met via her Facebook husband search. After a few months of her sending money to him after she's home, she is unable to 1 month because she has 4 kids to worry about. He freaks out and they wind up getting it annulled. But wait, there's more. A year later, she's on her way to Nigeria again because she's found another guy to marry. This time she goes over there once to visit, comes home, and then basically says, I am not giving you money until we marry. She goes back over again within 6 months to marry him. A month after getting home, she finds out she's pregnant. All is well. Eventually, she is unable to send money because 4 kids with twins are on the way, and that comes first. He gets upset and they wind up divorced. She later finds out he had been chatting up other women around the world and getting money from them, and was only going to use her for a green card to get to the States. I honestly don't feel bad for her. I feel bad for her 6 kids to have to witness their mom make stupid decisions. No idea how she afforded all those plane tickets. She's given up on Nigeria now. Jamaica is in her sights now. So I am pretty sure before long we'll see a forced wedding in Jamaica. Opinion. Wow. All that money could have gone towards the therapy this woman really needs. Story 7. My own marriage in 2004. Kissed my wife goodbye for a 3-month deployment to Pakistan in March. I never saw her again. After 2 months of being there, she told me she wanted to leave. At the time, there was a loophole in divorce law one website was exploiting, QuickSimpleDivorce.com. Lawyers in Guam were allowed to process uncontested divorces pretty quickly, paid $800 and sent her the paperwork. We were living in Germany at the time and she signed and left for the US before I got home. The divorce was finalized in August of 2004. What caused it? Don't know really. Honestly, she was unhappy prior to my departure. We had only been married a couple of years. We kinda rushed to get married in 2002 when I got orders to Germany. Opinion. That sounds like a blessing in disguise. Honestly, you're probably better off without her in your life. She's really not that great. Story 8. The actual divorce has to wait because of visa issues, but basically they got married. Everything was fine, and then about a month later, she got weirdly quiet about their relationships. And about 9 months after the wedding, he told her he thinks of her like a sister. Holiday romance, long distance for several years, and a boatload of red flags. The second they moved in together, things went wrong. Basically, he didn't do anything around the house. She earned all the money and paid for all of his stuff on top of it. He then squandered her money even when she asked him not to. She actually had to put a limit on his phone contract. I don't think he planned to leech on her. He is just an inconsiderate a-hole. They're waiting it out because she's too nice to send him back. Opinion. Gotta love those unreliable people. They can't even stop squandering when you specifically ask them not to. Story 9. Young couple in their late 20s. The bride was the daughter of a friend. The daughter never learned to budget, save, spend wisely, pay bills on time, and prioritize. They both worked full-time at good jobs in San Francisco and lived in Pacific Heights in a purchased condo. That was quite nice. She took them both into a ton of debt. Had to have the very latest of everything that was material in nature. Clothing, furniture, etc. She would put $1,000 on their credit card in an hour on absolutely nothing. She nagged her husband from the moment he walked in the door from work, even in front of the company. It lasted 2 years. He couldn't get away fast enough. Her wedding photos were hilarious. No smiles. Opinion. Finances are one of the most important things to be on the same page before getting married. Story 10. 2 weeks. Kind of a long story. My sister was married to a real a-hole. She stayed too long and the divorce has been bitter. The ex-husband is convinced my sister has a secret trust fund she is living off of, and he wants half. There is no such trust fund. I mean, in what hopefully will be many years, when my dad isn't among us anymore, there may be money from his trust. But he's very much alive, so he's not entitled to that. So my sister hooked up with another guy who apparently is friends with the ex. The ex told him about the trust fund and somehow convinced my gullible sister to marry him, in the hopes that he would be more successful in getting the trust fund, the one that doesn't exist. This new husband, within days of marrying my sister, brought his ex-girlfriend, baby mama, who was supposedly in a bad relationship, and his child to stay with them. Very shortly after, it was learned that the new hubby had been with baby mama the entire duration of the relationship, and the guy only went out with her because he thought she was a trust fund kid. So within a couple of weeks after the nuptials, they were at each other's throats. And he had her thrown out and actually had her arrested, and basically kept all her belongings. He filed a restraining order against her so she couldn't come to the house. I'm not saying my sister deserved this, but she does have a habit of stretching the truth. These guys didn't get the idea there was a trust fund from their behinds. This marriage only basically lasted 2 weeks. Opinion. I'm sorry, but I think she brought this all on herself, with her actions and choices. What was she even thinking? Story 11. Some friends who had been dating for a couple of months got married in Las Vegas as sort of a drunken joke. The girl found out she would lose a lot of her trust fund because of being married. A gaggle of 4 lawyers were flown in and got a very quick retroactive annulment. The marriage lasted 4 days. Except legally it was declared to have never existed at all. They dated for 3 more years then broke up. Opinion. How big was her trust fund if her parents could fly in 4 lawyers so quickly? Seriously, how wealthy do you have to be for that? Story 12. One of my friends from college filed for divorce 10 months after her wedding. They were never really a good match and everyone could see it. Honestly, I think she just wanted to have a wedding and be a princess for a day. Once she realized she actually had to keep the guy, she started having second thoughts. Opinion. It's incredible how some people can be so delusional, diving into life-changing decisions without any planning or consideration for the consequences. Story 13. My wife's family's neighbor's daughter got married and threw a huge wedding day, spent 50 to 70 grand. Then, not even 2 weeks later, got divorced. She had been cheating on her husband throughout the engagement, but still wanted her special day. I heard later on that she had asked her mom if she had to live with her husband after they got married. Opinion. Spending 50 to 70 grand while already being unfaithful and not even considering what marriage really means. It makes you wonder how some people prioritize a special day over the actual commitment. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.